Hi again. I'm doing some mini Copic Bits videos for you showing different styles of hair and how to color them and trying out different tones. This video we're going to focus on black hair, and I've done two different ones here. This is a magnolia image from the wedding collection, and the reason I picked this one is because of her hair. It's kind of got those long waves, not curls, but they're actual waves in the hair, so I want to show you how to color those to really bring those out. If you colored this in one flat color, there would be no movement in her hair, so that's really important when you do anything that has hair like this. And I did her in the cool grays, which I really like for black. And then I did the bride, same colors, except I brought in some browns. Sometimes those with dark hair have, browner strands of hair in their black hair. My mom and my dad, in fact my whole family except for me, has really black hair, but it also has a lot of dark brown in it. So I wanted to bring that into the hair color to show you how to do that. So let's get started. Okay, so for black hair, these are the colors I use: C9, 7, 5, and 3. I recommend that you don't go lighter than 3, then you get too many lighter tones in the hair, and it ends up looking gray. You really want to keep most of your coloring on the dark side with the black. Don't be afraid to go too dark. The darker tones will make it look blacker. And of course, I never suggest using the black Copic, which is 100 or 110. They're a little bit too dark and they can kind of fade away any lines that you might have in your image. C9 is definitely dark enough, and that's probably as dark as you would want to go. Let's start with the little girl's hair. And what I do is I'm going to pick my light source. I'm going to have my light source coming from the upper right, meaning that this side of her hair, the underside of her bangs as they bend down, are going to be the darkest. And I'm just, again, using my marker lightly. Remember to keep your touch light. I'm following those lines in her hair. Now I'm going to go up to her crown. That's right underneath the little flower she has on. I'm going to bring in some of those darker colors. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring it up in here. Now this is the part that's very important. On her hair, you will see that it bumps out, it goes in, it bumps out, it goes in. If it was curlier, I would color it in a different way. But for this, I wanted to really show the waves. So my rule of thumb is that where it bumps in all the way across, that will be the darkest. Again, it bumps in here. So I'm laying down, not a lot, just a little bit of the C9. Bumps in here again. And we got kind of a little bump down here in this curl. Now I'm going to take C7 and I'm going to work over again, keeping my touch light. I'm keeping some area for those lighter tones. Remember, don't color too dark, don't press too hard. You just want a light touch. You can always come back in here in a little bit and add some more darker tones. Again, very lightly up and over those waves that I've already done with the C7. I'm going to bring in my C5. And again, I'm just adding a little bit of color just to blend those darker ones out with the C5, leaving some area for my very lightest tone, which is C3. Your lightest tone will be the least amount of coloring that you do on her hair because you don't want her hair to look gray. Now I'm coming in with my C3. And I'm just filling in all those white spots. Now at this point I can kind of see where I want to come back in and add a little bit more blending. So I'm taking my C5, just kind of my mid-tone. I'm just going to darken some of these areas here. Just want to blend it a little bit more, make it a little softer. Again, I'm going to go back to my C3. And then to give a little bit more impact, I'm not going with the C9, I'm actually taking my C7. And I'm almost dotting right along the center part of those dark waves. And then I'm going to feed a little bit more up into this area, just to darken a little bit more. I like a little extra contrast. And I really want those waves pronounced. As the hair bumps out, that's going to hit the light, so that's going to be where it's shining. So I want this part that goes down very dark. Then I can take my C3 and I can just kind of blend a little bit more. And there's her hair. Now you could go a little lighter if you wanted a little bit of a broader stroke across her bangs there. You could definitely do that. You know, you can kind of change it around, but be very cognizant of how the hair lays. When the hair is like this, it's waves, so it's going to bump out, bump back in, bump out, bump back in. Each time it bumps out, it's going to be hitting the light, so it's going to be the lightest. If this were free curls that were just kind of hanging down all over the place, you could color that very differently. You could color the curls separately and have, you know, some dark and light tones mixed in. But when you have a wave like this, you want to keep it very consistent all the way across, and especially with the light hitting from this right side, you know, the tops of these curls are going to be very, very light. So keep that in mind. That gives you a lot of movement in the hair, makes it seem when you're looking at her that her hair is really wavy. If we had colored this hair and just kept the whole right side of her hair light and then colored the left side dark, like we might on her dress, it would look very flat. So you want to keep that in mind when you're looking at some of the images and their hair, the way it's styled. And I'm not going to color this one up, but I had already done the bride's hair. I used the same exact colors that I did on the little girl. With exception, I added E49 and then I took some E31. And I just went right over that darkest black color, the C9 and C7 with my E49, and then I brought out a little bit of E31 into the hair. Just gives a little bit of a brown tone, but still keeping the hair very, very dark. You can use the W's if you want, if you're comfortable with that. The W grays have a little bit more brown in them. You just have to be careful with them. You definitely want to keep towards the darker end of that. I would say go no lighter than a W5. Otherwise it really starts looking like someone who has brown hair but it's starting to grow gray kind of thing. That's why I stick with the cool grays. They definitely make the hair look blacker with the cooler tones in them. So again, you know, play with the hair, stamp out some images, practice. I always say that, practice, 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 and you will get better and you will be less frustrated every time you sit down to color. So thanks for stopping in.